that requires them putting Viper or Doom on off lane and picking a support here that has playmaking, that would be fine by me. Or they could just play it greedy and just think that they're gonna do well enough in their lane. Yeah, so that's fine. I'm chill with that.
Not a huge playmaker, but I think Team Spirit, when they were successful, they didn't really aim to make plays. They just kind of farmed and defended their half of the map for the most part.
10 seconds
Instead of being
remaining.
like, you know, getting that blink on Mars and just running around and going for kills. Like, it's nice if you can do it, but they're just gonna chill and farm, and all their cores can farm really fast this game, regardless if it's a Viper off or the Doom off. It farms a lot and farms fast.
Choose your hero.
Yeah, at least I can kill with Snap. You know, if I see a Kunkka Doom Viper like smoke up, I'm like, there's probably like a 50% chance the enemy just walks away.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, I'm going to quickly bring in Aries and the Lizard so we can hear a little bit more from them. Aries, if you... Wait, no, we're going straight to Lizard. Doggo! What's Dog's name? Lizard, what is your doggo's name?
Rhea.
Rhea, tell Rhea we love her. And oh, Big Yawn, she can be on broadcast all the time. While you're telling her we love her...
Should I just put her? Yeah, here
Yeah,
you
if you could just bring her up. Yeah, perfect. Rhea, we just want to know, what are your thoughts about this draft? Are you siding with any team?
I like the draft.
That's...
I like Team Spirit.
10 seconds remaining.
She wants to lick it.
5
Doesn't she
seconds
react when you play your
I'm glad we can hear from her. I'm glad we can hear from her. But Lizard, if you also wanted to reiterate anything that she said that you agreed with?
Yeah, I like both of these drafts. I think Pari Parni have a much better draft this time around. I think they have a better shot. I like the fact that they have a good, solid mid-game potential, late game with the TB as well. Just have to be careful with those dooms. Can't get the TB doomed. If he gets doomed, he's kind of dead, right? Yeah.
We all agree. Aries, I would normally ask you, but we are heading into game really soon, so I'm going to quickly ask these two if you have the full faith in Spirit or if you think Pari Parni are going to be able to fight back.
Drafts are even, but Spirit's better, so Spirit will win.
Okay.
I don't even know what I meant to say after that. That's like... just cover everything.
Alrighty. Well, Aries, you can share us your thoughts as Game 2 is underway.
All right, here we go. Game 2. Thank you, Nat. I'm excited to see how this one's able to shape up. I think early on, of course, the panel were mentioning just the flex that was a possibility with the Press Kid's Wind Ranger. It's something that he really, really likes. He loves this hero. If the Viper was going to be put, you know, as a position 2, then you'd always consider giving him this this Wind Ranger core, especially with the matchup. But the Ember last pick, and Lizard, it looks like a pretty Ember Spirit game. Like, you're mainly only concerned about the Doom if he does get that ultimate off on you, but you can definitely itemize to deal with the Doom, and without that, they're definitely going to have a lack of control. And really, I think just a big thing is now you have a playmaker that doesn't really require this blink as an item, so maybe you can push the tempo a little bit earlier.
No, definitely. It allows them to play the game in a different fashion than that first matchup. I still think that their movements weren't truly on point. Maybe they were too constrained on waiting for those big items, right, in that game 1, which is something they don't, like you said, they don't have to worry about this time around. It's like my main issue is like positioning in this kind of a game. You're playing into a Kunkka and Doom. Like, TB really needs to be. He's also the most inexperienced player on this team, right? But he really has to be careful with the way he positions himself. He doesn't have any saves, and you're playing into Doom, Kunkka. It can be rough.
It can be rough, but if he finds those items, like really ultra late game, who knows what could happen. You got Scardy, maybe you got Satanic as well as a potential. With if Meta is popped as well, you might just have that much damage where you can actually stay in your ground and kill them before the Doom really has that much impact. That's ultra late game. And the really big issue is we might not get there as well, especially with how clean Team Spirit looked in game 1.
Do you think that they can do the same this time around? Because I don't feel that they have nearly as much objective taking capability, and their push is not there. So, if anything, I think that Pari Parni, as long as they don't do any huge mistakes, they can reach that late game. So TB should get there eventually.
Yeah, I think I'm concerned on Spirit how they can take
30
objectives. For
seconds
me,
to
I'm
back.
just looking at the catapult timing, and probably in particular it's going to be the second one with the 10-minute and Toronto Tokyo rotating top. Because I feel like for Pari Parni, you've got a Beastmaster, and this hero wants to play in your off lane. Like, you are not going to be making rotations. So if you know the Beastmaster's not going top, you know the TB, if meta's on cooldown, he's not going to defend his tower. So that's when Team Spirit can maybe look to open up the map whenever the catapults are available for them.
The battle begins.
What do you think about the bottom lane? Like the Viper and
Easy breezy.
the Viper
Easy
and
breezy.
the Phantom
I should
Assassin.
say it like that.
Yeah, because I just realized it's another beast from the land down under. It's another one of your heroes.
What, you think anything that's toxic or any creatures from us in Australia? I'm telling you, it's not the case. We have some nasty
are you telling
things.
me? Sorry, are you telling me if I Google Australian Viper right now, I won't find some beast that lives in your steppes?
We will find out. Australian Viper. Sure, Australia's top most dangerous snakes. That's the first thing that comes up. We got some deadly snakes, but I don't know how deadly this Viper is going to be. As a position 5, Few was speaking about it on the panel that you're wanting to lane the Wind Ranger into the Viper because of the wind run, but how do you really... I'm intrigued on how you feel like this lane's going to shape up, because Beastmaster versus PA is pretty solid for the PA. You've got great way to deal with the boards, but something I was mentioning in the draft is Zai, he's played the Beastmaster, I think 2 games in their series versus Goon Squad, and both those games he was going for the Axes build.
And he's doing the same thing here. Well, not Zai, Pasha is, but
Prepare for a
I think it can go well for them. Viper on position 5, it can be scary. But you are playing into a Wind Ranger and a Beastmaster. Like, Wind Ranger obviously has the Wind Run that can work. She can work with. It's not a core Viper, so he won't be that tanky. They can turn on him. They can turn on your Toro as well. Like, not sure. There is definitely 10 times more kill potential in all of these lanes than in game 1. If you remember game 1, we said they're all bulky beasts. 6 minutes in, there's absolutely no kills. This time around, I foresee carnage everywhere.
Okay. Well, that's what we like. We were on carnage. Game 1 was... it took a bit to get into it, and then Team Spirit won a couple of fights, and all of a sudden the game was over with how methodical they played that. But bottom lane, we'll see how the carnage continues. Mid lane, though, Toronto Tokyo on the Conquer, into Depressed Kid on the Ember Spirit. Toronto Tokyo, I imagine, is going to have a good time. The Conquer into the Ember in the lane matchup, I would say is pretty Conquer-heavy, maybe like 60-40.
It's fair, yeah. You get that Bracer, suddenly you just become too tanky, you leave for half of his HP. Can be a problematic lane for the Ember. Also can be, there's some kill potential for Ember if Kunkka isn't too careful.
See right now the battle going on, Toronto Tokyo, an early 1-1-1 build, so very, very interesting actually.
It really nice the way he did it to try and deal with the Flame Guard. Use that torrent. It's not enough, right? Is it? Yeah. Well, okay, he used it anyway. He's getting that bottle. Might as well use the mana.
Top lane, last lane at the moment, Collapse. He got lucky enough with the mana burn creep. You love to see that. What a neutral creep to be able to get for the Doom.
And it got nerfed too. Like, this creep got nerfed. It's still, yeah, it's still strong. I believe the... What was it? The mana region?
Mana Oral, I think?
Yeah, 2.5 to 2. It still doesn't matter because it takes all of your mana away. that remained unchanged. Yeah, pretty good creep to get, like you said.
It's also, you're laned with a hero that likes to spellcast in Mirror on the stat 5, who is almost in trouble, but nice cookie, nice read that they were going to try and get aggressive with the first metamorphosis of the game, but Munkushi unable to close the distance. Mirror might still be in trouble though. They want to kills instead of farming. Heaven has a telekinesis to reposition back into Munkushi. This is going to be a much better start, but like you mentioned, Collapse, he's going to try and turn this around. 2 points in the Scorched Earth with the stolen ability as well. The help of the meta burn is enough to even out the trade, but Heaven, well, he wants the last say in this Fade Bolt. Up in a couple of seconds, but he's not going to have the mana even with the stick. Oh, no way, the Iron Branch to get rid of Vision. I don't think it would have been... There's no way they go back in. He's got the meta turn back up. A cookie on Miro. They'll need a right click with the help of the creeps and they'll get it. Oh, collapse. That was beautiful with the Iron Branch drop.
On the bottom lane, Pasha getting really low.
Should be able to secure the kill. He's going to try and get one last axe as the Archer Emergent can beat back onto Miposhka, but Yatoro, he wants to jump as well. Under tower, respecting the extra damage that can come out early. Oh, 2 points in the dagger, and Yatoro finds the double. And one thing we can't have to mention is Yatoro's Phantom Assassin. It's one of his best heroes. We saw him play so many heroes at TI, but his Phantom Assassin was always something that everyone would fear.
Did I not promise Carnage, Ares? Tell me.
Yes, you did.
Never.
You did.
Didn't I?
Okay,
Radiant
sure, we'll take it.
structures
Well,
are
I'm
fortified.
listening to you a little bit more now.
There's one thing that I can spot is a lot of potential to feed in the lanes. And that's what's happening all over the place. I thought that maybe Parni will have a better time on bot lane, slightly better than they are having, as this is a disaster. Like, this lane went... Yeah, I completely misjudged it. They're really not having any good time versus the Viper. Like, while the fight was happening on top lane, Viper was diving them under the tier 2, by the way. We didn't see that piece of action happening. Everything was on the tail end of that fight.
What do you feel like is the read from Yatoro this game to go treads first instead of maybe like a brown boots into orb corrosion, or even just like a first item orb corrosion?
It depends really. Like, first I have to say that I'm not the biggest fan of Orb of Corrosion overall. Okay. Like, in some games it's good, obviously it helps you with the lane, but it delays your it delays your Battle Fury, right? I think in a game such as this one, in which you're already winning, you're 2-0, what's the reasoning behind Corrosion? Like, you're already winning the lane, why do you need it? Maybe that's the way to justify it, if nothing else. Right? Like, if I'm getting that because my lane is difficult, I know that I'll have to fight. But if I'm already winning, I'm just delaying my Battle Fury.
Sure. We're seeing, at least with how the lane is looking so far for Yatoro, this is going to be a very quick timing in the Battle Fury if they can continue to find kills. And not only that, but he's also 26-19. And something that the panel was mentioning is that this is the second time now that Pari Parni, maybe even third time, that they've gone into the Beastmaster in the first phase and doing it again. Obviously showing that they have the capability, and more just that they feel like this is a strong hero and they can execute with it. But now this being the second game in a row that Pasha's going to struggle on the Beastmaster, like, it might be a bit of a concern for them through the later games.
Yeah, it definitely could be. Then again, you're playing versus Team Spirit. The lane isn't easy on its own. The draft that they're facing, so we'll see. He still needs to get to that Helm of Dominator. Perhaps that changes things a little bit.
I don't think so.
Do you think the Dominator changes a lot? You are playing into a Kunkka. He should be able to defend, right?
I think it's really going to be relying on the Conquer, though, as Munkushi, nice telekinesis, going to get the Terrorblade back to the safety of the tower. But it's all on Conquer, really, to be the tower defender. Like, Viper, what are you really going to be able to do? They're going to try and dive TB. Evan will hold them back with a Fable. Toro? How partial they are, Toro jumps in. It's going to take a lot of damage so the axes are stacking up, but it's another kill secured from Team Spirit, and probably going to try and shove the lane into the Beastmaster. Will lose some golden experience.
It's a ring as well. Like, Yatoro can go to the side shop right now, which she will do shortly. Pick up that Ring of Region on top lane. Rubik is dying. Yeah, the Team Spirits, they're just having a blast on all of these lanes.
Early net worth lead for Team Spirit, fluctuating from 1 to 2k, and this is with the mid lane advantage as well. Toronto Tokyo off to a solid start. He's got a small stack.
Under attack.
He got a really nice rune. There's a haste rune now on the pressed kid, and this is pretty much the moment in which you're screaming, help us. Help us, mid laner. Why are you AFK?
Shack onto the forefront, the press kid, but all they'll get is the Wind Ranger. So at least you're getting something out of the map as top lane
Dire's middle
collapse.
tower is
Could
under
cook it
attack.
under the tower, but look how defensive the Terrorblade is positioning.
He just never has mana even. He does have those ticks if he wants to use the meta, which is solid. But overall, I think very soon he might even abandon this lane. What level is Doom? He's 6. Still no Doom on him though, something
Radiant's
that
bottom
we see very
tower is
often.
under attack.
And I'm just wondering just how long will the TB plus Rubik stay, or will he just abandon and leave Rubik like Spirit left in Poshka last game?
That is the nice thing about the Terrorblade. You've got very good agi gain, you've got the
Dire's
illusion
top
to tank
tower
up
is
the
under
creep, so
attack.
if you're able to farm incredibly fast and it doesn't come as at too much of a cost in regards to your resources, so you might push him back, play the dead lane on the Rubik, maybe he can get some early items to have the impact that we saw from the Poshka. But I think the one thing about this game is that there's not really as many good abilities to steal. Yes, I guess Doom, Scatterblast, Cookie's always nice, but apart from that, Nether Toxin's also very good, I should mention, but there's not some crazy abilities that we saw in game 1.
Depressed kid, yeah.
Yeah, he's maxed out Slide and even without the Orb of Corrosion's going to kill off Poshka, so Depressed Kid's having another very good start to this game.
Yeah, for the sake of this game, I hope the T continues, because it will definitely make it more even as all their other lanes are suffering. But I have to slightly disagree. You did mention it. Rubik can steal that Nether Toxin, and it's a game-winning spell to steal.
Okay.
So getting that could probably be quite solid. Getting it, using it on the PA, it can be pretty much game changing, so keep an eye on that Rubik, if he manages to steal it, that is.
Alright, let's see. Pasha's got Primal Roar and Helm Dom up shortly, so my eyes are on Pari Parni on how they can look to play with this Beastmaster, if the Ember's going to consider rotating down bottom with the power room, but Yatoro's going to jump Pasha early.
Rune of invisibility.
With Triumph and holding the Poshka back, they will not continue.
Yeah, nice shackles. Prevents any extra aggression from happening. Same, kind of a repeat from the last game, right? They're just defending with the Rubik. Maybe it's even more difficult to kill off the Rubik this time around on top lane, as you don't have any spirits to jump him or anything like that. It should be quite simple for him to stand behind and just pull the creepers.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
See though, with the passive state that we have at the moment, back to the jungle is Pasha taking a pretty decent stack. I think it was maybe even a quad stack at the hard camp, so this is going to give Pasha level 6. Another thing to mention is that Dire and their kind of ward placement by the bottom portion, kind of mid-side of the map as well, so they're going to have a lot of coverage, at least for one of the power rooms, but Heaven's going to be in trouble top with Collapse and Mirror considering the dive.
Oh. Doom, I don't think so, right? You don't commit it here.
They're gonna commit the Doom. They are rotating top. Versions keep it up. They're also wrapping on the Ember Spirit as well, so Collapse has to get out, and he's gonna do so. Great roll! They just got a very Depressed Kid. I thought he was going to be successful. I was going to say it's a great read. They scanned. They were aware of someone coming from the river. Just thought Depressed Kid was a little bit further away than what he truly was.
Yeah, Depressed Kid so far on fire, doing everything correctly, all of his rotations. Not falling behind a little bit in CS, but that's a lot of neutral creeps as well against Toronto Tokyo. So this is really what they needed. They needed a very active Ember Spirit that has that early game impact. Do you think that I guess in hindsight, if you don't doom the Rubik, you risk not even killing him and dying to an Ember, right? So maybe it's better to just commit and get on with your life. In hindsight,
yeah. Of course, it's always hindsight, but I feel like now maybe
Dire are scanning.
You're not gonna have this for the tower siege though. Like Immersion deals with the T1 tower. Maybe you're okay, like Team Spirit are okay with this. We see Doom has a Midas, 2 points in Devour. You got a Phantom Assassin free farming bottom. Like he still hasn't been shoved out of lane. So maybe honestly Spirit don't even care about not being able to take objectives at the moment.
I completely agree. Like, make some stacks for the PA and your gold and wait for that Battle Fury, let her farm up. They're in no rush. Like this... they're smoking in a triangle.
Ushi.
Be ensnared.
They're going to see with the ward placement. They want to wrap all the way around and go for Pasha instead. drop the kill, secure the kill. Nice play from Immersion. Instantly cancels that, but the damage has been dealt. Simultaneously, we do see the Poshka go down though, so was a solo kill picked up from Depressed Kid.
Was that play planted after they went on the Master? It was, right? The observer did the triangle?
They placed it when they got to the low ground.
Mid lane, Yotaro God.
Dire's bottom tower is
Strike, and he can find an angle to jump away from Depressed Kid's gonna dive under the tier 2 tower, and why not? There's no stuns to be able to penalize this greedy and aggressive play, and something we were mentioning is that Depressed Kid, there's really not much he has to be worried about in regards to control.
Do you think he's laughing right now that there was just some random satire from the Beastmaster using that shockwave on the mid lane? Like, Pasha wasn't even around.
Here.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Stop trying to steal my kill.
Radiant structure.
It gave him just enough damage to actually finish off the PA, so... And that's it down by 2 of them.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Something that Penna was mentioning is that Depressed Kid, it always seems like he's got a good lane, but how are you able to convert that into the early game, mid game movements, and just into a victory, with all things being said. So Depressed Kid is going to have a very early timing here with the Maelstrom. He's finding a lot of farm, already level 12, and he's going to get all the resources refilled too. Heaven stole the Hex, so TP back instantly. The Ember Spirit's going to be able to rejoin, but what are we looking for Pari Parni next? Because they're down 2,000 gold. What is kind of that next timing that we might see them utilize?
Well, the big thing for me is Pasha and what he decides to do on this bottom lane. I feel that the tier 1 tower assault is way overdue. They should be taking it instead. They smoke up, they go for top lane to get the players.
They're going to go to the high ground instead, so they are playing away from collapse. Onto the Doom. He's going to try and chop the ultimate before they kill him off on the top of the cage. The chain control is out. Perfect collapse. Call the remnant away. The threat of the Doom and collapse. No way, he's not even dead. Collapse is not even dead, and meanwhile they killed off the Terrorblade in the jungle. So Team Spirit keep the Doom alive. They get the position one. They're hunting for more though. Collapse is finally going to drop the ultimate. It's going to be stolen here. The rest of Team Spirit, they've shown up to the party. A guy one of the towers, Toronto Tokyo with the double damage rune will cleave away the Rubik and get immersion as well.
What happened with the Depressed Kid, by the way? Did he lose that fight? He went back mid?
He was worried about that they had no stuns to prevent the Doom from ulting, so he couldn't stick around. He couldn't like juke through the trees. He just said, get out.
They lost TB at the same time. That's the biggest issue. Like, I was watching that fight happen. It was literally just that killed him off. Or Kunkka Viper, not sure. In any case, an easy pick off on the TB, plus you don't lose anything on your side. This is Team Spirit just reading their moves once again. One positive side of all of this is that Beastmaster was left alone and he took a tower. So the map opens up at least a little tiny bit for you. Then again, you really need to start thinking about the PA, thinking about the fact that she has that Battle Fury completed. Gotta start pressuring that triangle.
Warriors had a completely free game. 3-1-1. Still sitting in 4th net worth at the moment, but the Battle Fury will start to skyrocket her farm. Team Spirit with a 3,000 net worth lead, and keep in mind this is a lineup that is going to feel pretty comfortable late game, especially with the Doom being able to scale.
Yeah, all 3 of their cores, really. The Doom, the Kunkka, the PA. They're not in any sort of a rush. Like these heroes, like you're truly not thinking about getting any massive objectives. You're just happy with the space that you've got. As long as they're not pressured, it's fine.
You feel like Pari Parni and their lineup is going to be able to match the scaling that Team Spirit have?
I feel that with the TB they definitely can do it. Ember is having a good time as well. I believe Fierce said that the drafts are kinda even. I agree with it. But whenever I see a Doom, I'm like, You're even, but you're a hero down, you know? Like, one of you is doomed, so...
heroes.
Dire's structures are
Take one out.
fortified.
It's also a lot of pressure onto the young gun in Munkushi. I mean, we've seen it kind of struggled in game one. Of course, hasn't had as much experience as some of the rest of the players, so putting a lot of emphasis on his shoulders to maybe carry this game for the lads on Dire.
Look at the smoke, though, from Parni guys. Like, they're moving top, they're reading the positioning of everyone really well.
Be cautious, though. Spirit. Oh, no, they're just going to sneak on by. Smoke pops.
Come on.
No way, they might go for Yatoro instead. He's very far up. Yatoro is in no man's land for Team Spirit to be playing in. And that's a freebie. That is an absolute freebie. Maybe they thought it was safe because of the rest of Team Spirit. Hang on a second, the press kid. Of course, just not going to get a lot of distance away with the Remnant. Star's going to be back up in a couple of seconds. Let's see if he can time it perfectly. And he does. The Remnant, in fact, enough. And meanwhile, bottom lane, they get another kill. Combined up with Pasha, bringing down the Poshka.
Yeah, their draft is finally coming online. They're getting some good moves on the map. Like I think you wanted to continue your thoughts about why PA remained top. Because of the way they moved back, right? Like Doom and the boys, they moved back, and you're thinking, okay, maybe I'm a bit safe. I can continue pushing.
Yeah, maybe that's just the thought going through, because a lot of people have said, you know, Yatoro somehow his map reading. There's been a couple of questions always asked, like, how do you know when people are smoking? Sometimes you're high-fiving before the smoke connects. We've got this goddamn Gale Force on immersion. Oh, what? Do you think the nerf in a way was enough?
I think you need to make it stronger.
Okay. So go the opposite way. Make it more viable. Okay, Seb didn't do enough, obviously, at the major with this.
Yeah, need it even better.
Okay. So you're a fan of the Gale Force then? You want to continue seeing it?
It just looks cool. I like it.
Quite a version for the moment, speaking about the Wind Ranger, but more of a defensive use of the cookie. A very awkward pause. This is going to give plenty of time for Pari Parni to scout out what's going on. They do see Pasha wrapping down from the east.
Don't you like cool things like in this game? Sometimes, you know, like something that looks cool or takes a lot of skill. I think that trumps the integrity of the esports scene. Just make things broken. I don't care. I want to see Meepo back in, you know.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good to not see Meepo.
That's my agenda. Whatever I say, it leads to the same place. Bring Meepo back.
How many games do you have on Meepo? We're not going down this route. I don't want to speak about Meepo. It's okay. I'm sure Sheet would be very happy with that too. But no, we're good. We'll avoid this. For a while, I was under the belief that Daddy Gaben likes to keep heroes in the meta because of their value to be able to watch. Like, I think Rubik is an incredibly exciting hero to watch as a viewer, to play as well. He was in the meta for quite some time, as we're probably going to get this one back on the way, so we have to keep tabs on how this fight breaks out.
I mean, you can continue talking about Rubik. Is in the game. You're on point. You're on topic, don't worry.
Oh, but see how Rubik's impact's going to come in this engagement. Merging. The kisses usage. They just want to pull up Immersion and get out. Of course, seeing Pasha moving for the right, just a threat of the Beastmaster wrapping behind and blocking off that escape avenue is enough for Spirit to drop another ultimate.
That's such an easy pick off for them. There is a roar down bottom, and Doom has that blink, right? Yeah, he's fine.
Radiant are scanning.
Honestly, Pari Parni's done a pretty good job to slow down the growth in net worth. It's still slowly being accumulated from Team Spirit. That's kind of going to tend to happen with a maxed out Devour and a Midas on Collapse, and with Yatoro free farming. You had that one death prior, but this is about to be BKB completed from your Phantom Assassin, so you're more than likely going to see Team Spirit look to get aggressive here.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Pretty much. This is the timing. You get that BKB, you're ready to fight. Down bottom, Pasha is sticking around, but yeah, discard.
You've done your role though. This T2 tower's on 59 health, so now you're gonna have a T2 tower claimed, outposts is now going to be as an option
Radiant's
to
bottom
also
tower
control on
has
Pari
been
Parni.
denied.
Mid lane.
Playing the press kid. Emergent, great positioning again from the Wind Ranger. It's always been... Of course, he's in a bit of a different role now, playing the 5 instead of the 4, but he was really a main reason of why Gambit was so incredibly strong at a lot of LAN events.
Yeah, he kind of gained fame with that roster as well, right? I'm sure he played in some other team, maybe Navi or something before, but yeah, with Gambit, with FNG, broke out into the scene. In this game, he's more of a 4, I would suppose, right? Like playing with the Beastmaster, but I'm doing all right so far. Do you think that they're like? Do you think that they're waiting for the Lincolns on the side of Pari Parni and then they're ready to fight? Because that's the way it looks to me, at least. Like Lincoln's queued up on Ember, Lincoln's queued up on Terrorblade. Not the biggest fan, I need to say, by the way, straight up.
Looking at my high gun collapses to the kill. But beautiful timing on the telekinesis. Gonna keep it under an opportunity to be able to remnant back to safety. Now Posh is in. Raw controlling the Phantom Assassin through the beacon. They want to brawl. They're in fighting shape. They've got the items to take the engagement. Blow up Posh a bit. Pari Parni, they still want to take this team fight. They've got the ward on the high ground, posturing to the right. Considering about bringing down Collapse, he's still got the Doom, so they've got to be cautious. The execution has to be perfect. Collapse. A BKB retreating to the north. They're hunting, they're chasing. Can they catch up though on Dire? Looks like that's not going to be the case.
Yeah. There's a nice X marks the spot from the Rubik, but the BKB completely negates it. He gets away. They are pinging out Rosh because some BKBs have been used and you do have meta still. Not sure, let's see if they can do this. There's no Mortimer's Kisses, there's no boat. They should be able to, yeah.
It's a brilliant read from Pari Parni. Yeah, without the ultimates, you got the Doom, but like you said, BKB's also on cooldown, so this is huge now. A big way to counter the Doom is having a second life.
Well, basically they're looking to give it to the TB.
Cancel that. Yeah, okay. And Kushi is going to be able to pick up the Aegis. So Manta, Lincoln's on the Terrorblade, level 16. Top of the net worth is the Terrorblade.
I guess it makes sure that he will not die until his next big item, right? Like you can continue farming for the next 5 minutes. If you gave it to the Ember, then perhaps fighting more often is a bigger option. You can still go like this, but TB isn't really the greatest Aegis carrier, right? Like he uses that meta, you kill him, he's not as useful afterwards.
Skid is with the Lincoln being delivered. They're too late with the smoke. Adam's been pissed off. Trying to take the fight. The jump in once again. Radiant break the Lincoln to perfect timing. Doom is out. Ember's gonna have no involvement in this team fight. Can they continue to take the engagement? They don't have meta to turn it back around on Pari Parni. They're gonna get out. You can't take this skirmish, and you see that's gonna be the case. Toronto Tokyo secures the double. He's even hunting for heaven. But back to the safety, the high ground goes the Rubik.
You're a trusty mate,
right? If you maybe have the Aegis on Ember, then he's always positioned a bit more aggressively. He's always in a true safety. He's an Ember. That's how he should be playing. But okay, you can still buy yourself some more time, farm up the TB. I really have to say that I don't like the two Lincoln spheres way too much. There's just so many ways to break the Lincolns and still use the Doom. Feels a bit too defensive, but we'll see. If it saves them from one Doom, it might pay off.
Yep, that's the big thing. They were hoping it was going to be the case, that fight, but they can turn it back around. You still got Aegis, you know, Doom's on cooldown, you know, a couple of things were expended from Team Spirit. It's not the most valuable target. Maybe you can get Mira as well as Immersion. Shackles up the Snapfire, so both the supports are going to be killed off, and no one else on Team Spirit wants to show up for this engagement.
This is now meta into a tier 2, right? Like you can maybe not even with the meta. We'll see. Kunkka is around, ready to defend.
Radiant
I didn't have a creep wave. Okay. That's nicely done by the supports.
With this collapse just shoving up bot, they're gonna have to deal with this wave. Yatora's also got top shoved in, so by the time they respawn, it's gonna be they're gonna be umming and ahhing if they can really take this tier 2 mid. So Team Spirit are gonna get away with an objective not falling.
Objective not falling while they don't have 2 supports and the enemy has an Aegis. Hard to calculate really which one of these 2 sides should be a bit more aggressive. I would suppose Parni at this point. Now there's a BKB completed on TB. If you aren't going now, you just invested too much into defensive items. Like, if you aren't making it work right now, you will fall off eventually.
Illusion!
This PA, she's what, 500 gold? No, sorry, 350 away from MKB. No one is safe then.
They're gonna go and they're gonna do just that. Partial enters the fight with the Roar. So they're gonna try and put more emphasis onto Miposhka's Viper. It's the 7th death this game for the position 5 Viper.
Yeah, there's some hate there.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Can they get this kill on Toronto Tokyo? Axis was enough to keep him safe, but the T2 tower has gone down. They might try and lead this into top as well. They've only got about a third duration left on the Metamorphosis though.
Radiant's
That was
top
the Emperor
tower
already
is
pushing. They can definitely take the tier 1 tower. The question is, will they go for tier 2? It's a nice area that they have. Like, whenever you set yourself up on this triangle, if you can keep it occupied for as long as possible as Dire, it's amazing for you. But without that metal, like you mentioned, they fall back, continue farming a bit more.
For Pari Parni, how are we looking to see them target people down in the fights? Who's that #1 target that just needs to be blown up?
Well, I think it's not realistic to expect them to kill off Yatoro. There is no MKBs on their side, right? Not yet, so I don't think you can go on him. Doom would probably be the most optimal target before he pops that Doom, but the most realistic targets are still Snap and Viper. Like, if they're out of position, eliminate them first. The rest of them already have BKBs, the rest of them are way too tanky already. I think the Roar should be utilized still on Collapse. Like, he's the one you're going to kill before the BKB. There's an AC completed on Kunkka, by the way, so even more damage reduction on him.
And he's going Halberd as well, so just really trying to put a lot of emphasis on shutting down this Terrorblade's damage in the fights, and also, I guess, another way to help pop Lincoln. So this is... You got to continue to bring it up. Like, if Pari Parni, if they lose like the next 2 fights, the damage might just start to fall off, especially with how kind of defensive we're seeing Spirit itemize. I mean, Yatoro, of course, is going damage, especially with his MKB, but the Terrorblade and his damage, it's all going to be off the back of the Metamorphosis. So what are we looking to see him go next item? Now that he's really got these defensive items to help him stand his ground and right-click in the fights, what is that next damage item that he needs?
I think there's only one item that you can go for, right? You're playing into a PA, you're going MKB. I don't think that he can... on the Terrorblade, that is. I don't think that you can... I don't think that you can go for anything else. You went way too defensive with the first 3 items. The next one needs to be pure damage. It will be MKB, I'm quite sure. There's also, by the way, the Raid Pact being completed by Snapfire. So you talked about damage mitigation. Take that on top of your everything else.
But it's the best one, isn't it? And it is definitely up there. A lot of people saying that the nerfs are not enough to the Raid Pact, and there we go. Mira has this completed. They are all underneath the Dire Observe Ward, so Pari Parni, I think this is one thing we haven't really mentioned enough, is just the Beastmaster aspect. He didn't have the greatest lane on Pasha, but the Hawks is something that Dire are going to be playing with. So if they have the perfect Hawk to be able to scout out the supports or scout up the Doom, blowing up Collapse, and then not having that ultimate for the fight, maybe that's how you can have an angle back in, just your vision advantage.
Pasha is one of the most experienced players when it comes to that. Coming out of the Eastern European scene, that is, so he will make sure to get that vision, but Doesn't work against the smoke. Never mind. I was about to. Doesn't work against the smoke. And nothing. Never mind.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
You're going to have to deal with top tower now. The press kid's done a very good job to keep this lane shoved out. He's also very close to an Aghanim Scepter, so the press kid with this item is going to cause a lot of chaos in the fight, and that could be difficult for the Doom. Maybe just with an Ember jumping around, cancelling his blink. Maybe he's unable to jump in and get the Doom onto the Terrorblade before his metamorphosis.
Radiant's
So
top tower is
all
under
eyes on the
attack.
press kid, because he's had a very solid showing so far.
Did he die once? Yeah, he did. One death. Exactly.
What you need here from the young
Their
gun on
game-
the press kid.
His game is much easier than in the last match. Remember, he was split pushing the last time, but there was so much catch against him. This time around, there is Doom. It's
Radiant's
not that
top
difficult to
tower
catch him
is
even
under
with the
attack.
Lincolns, because he has the stomp and fake grenades.
That's gonna break out. Alright, they got the vision on the high ground once again. Viper's gonna be the first target to be killed off at the start of the fight. And there will be no follow-up as Radiant. They're playing on the kind of right side of the map.
Two big things for me right now. There's another toxin on Rubik.
Toronto Tokyo, he's under a Hawk. We were speaking about the Hawks before. They're gonna take the fight. Collapse jumps in. Through with the modification. 20 a burst to get rid of the carry. Another second round of the Doom if required. Oh no.
Yeah, unfortunate he wasn't there for the fight. Oh, worst possible moment. Yeah, two big things that were happening. Nether Toxin on Rubik didn't really do a lot, but big thing is Doom has a refresher. So now you have two Dooms to work with. Well, he doesn't have mana right now, but he just bought an old talisman. He understood. He knows what's up.
So Ember should be fine for this. Not gonna have enough mana and does not have enough wand charges for the Doom, and no one else is nearby to offer up the chain control. So yeah, and Toronto Tokyo is already tipping out, so they are done with this engagement. Can they get the Doom though? Chains has already been used. Did he go the Talon? He did. So it's gonna be. Oh, he's got BKB. Yeah, no, Doom should be fine as well.
Yeah, there's no way. He refreshed, so should be fine. Both of them. But the TB died. That's the problem, right? Like, you go into all these defensive items, doesn't really matter. He jumps you, stomps you, and Lincolns. There's always gonna be that one hero that breaks it. Yeah.
Smiles. Let's see what they do against the Doom. I've just got the cookie to reposition, and yeah, Pari Parni, they're not even going to consider trying to chase him down.
What do you think? What kind of smiles are those? Are those happy smiles?
Oh, that is a triggered smile. Like, potentially you killed me while I was DCing. Yeah, I don't know. It's not a. He's trying to keep his cool, but he's also letting him know, like, yeah, you got me, and it's a bit unfair.
Do you know the proper form for that kind of a smile? You need to lean into the keyboard and do that grin as you're really squeezing the shift and the 9 or whatever, wherever your 0 smiley button is, you know? You have to feel it.
Okay. So it's all about the emotions in yourself as well.
It's like a slap squat, you know?
First hit, Krish coming up with a dagger. The Pasha's going to be forced to BKB, but Emotion standing nearby, hand in hand, will be able to offer some assistance. Top lane, they're setting up onto Press Kid. Oh, nice reactions. Alright, the Press Kid is like, I went up to this time. But you gotta be cautious about that tip. You're 4,000 gold behind, you're a game behind as well. And I can collapse is like, alright, you tip me. I don't care about the Terrorblade. I'm gonna beeline to you in this next fight. If I get the Doom on you, he's gotta be tipped.
It's the mind game, right? Make Collapse mad, make him Doom you so that the TB can finally do something in these fights. Like, if you open up... Oh, I can't do it right now. If you open up the damage graph or something afterwards, I really think TB didn't do more than 10k so far. The heroes at least.
Got MKB being delivered though. You need the item before the fight breaks out. Go with the jump. This is an ideal target. They can get rid of Collapse. Spawner controlled, Makushi's in, and again the Doom. No ultimate, this is a big opportunity now. Pari Parni, they need a hunt, they need more kills. They turn towards the Viper and the Snapfire, both supports have been killed off. There's Pari Parni, no remorse, and Roshan, it's up in 15 seconds, so they should get the cherry on top.
Yeah, this is perfect timing. Plus the boat stolen. There's a ghost ship on Rubik. Like really nicely done, killing off that Doom. Do you think the tip made him?
You were gonna say that.
Yatoro? Oh, never mind. No roar.
All right, we got second Roche. We got a ball game. It feels like. Now you're gonna have the age. So yeah, the age's advantage, ag shard advantage. Probably the network as well into Pari Parni's favor. Who are you considering giving the shard over to?
Don't they have it yet?
TV, I think that's it. TV's the
Welcome to the Delta.
I think it's not hard to guess who then. Wait, did they give it to him? No?
Yes. yes, it did.
Like, I didn't see it. Go. Okay.
He took it instantly. Someone wanted to eat it themselves.
Yeah, it would be cool if you could sell it.
How much gold do you reckon you should be able to sell it
Radiant's
for?
top tower
It
is under
doesn't
attack.
matter.
Just any value.
Any value, it would be worth, you know, just triggering your teammates that don't have a shard.
I want to take the fight on Spirit. Trying to protect that T2 tower. The last remaining outer tower. Yatoro is hunting really aggressively in this lane. If you can get Collapse again, that is the ideal man to bring home. And he's got the threat of the double doom with pressure back
Radiant's
up.
top tower is under attack.
Which is a bit more trickier now, right? The only target that you
Radiant's top tower
realistically
is
need to
falling.
protect is the Ember Spirit. As there is that Lincoln's and Aegis on Terrorblade, so I think this next fight should be much easier for Pari Parni, but we'll see.
Got the Hawk Vision. Sun is out, Collapses. Gonna be okay with that short distance blink back to the safety of the barracks. You'd hate to force out an early BKB from Collapse. They're considering jumping him. Oh, Monkushi, that is... But it really just goes to show that they're gonna put all their attention onto Collapse.
Did they just waste the meta? Will they be able to push high ground? That's my question.
The scary siege. It has to be perfect. And you see the Terrorblade, he's hesitant.
The Lincoln's just being stopped left, right, and center. It's just so hard. I think they're even bailing. There's a quarter of a meta left. They're still playing into double Doom. Like if they kill off the Ember and get the meta, it can be scary. Yeah, this is something that differs a team versus, let's call it tiers that are a bit lower tiered, right? And they're so experienced, they would always just wait out, choke them inside of their own base, stick around the triangle, don't force this high ground because it's just not happening. They will just spam us with spells we won't be able to engage, even with the Aegis.
Prepare for a lesson.
Now you give a window of opportunity for Team Spirit, even though they got the Aegis advantage, you know, the meta's on cooldown, so the TVs? I wonder, like, is he really going to still do a lot of damage in these fights with the Demon Zeal and the MKB? Do they still have to be worried about him?
Radiant's top
it's
tower
enough
is
damage,
under
I believe.
attack.
If you roar a target, that target is dead. There are some mitigating factors with the red pack with the AC to do, but it's still a TB. He dishes out a ton. You have to be careful. It's not only the TB, obviously. There's inner beast as well, right? Like he has some buffs on his side.
Also have Heaven with the, of course, we mentioned before that everyone had the Ag Sharp, which is important to reiterate the Rubik defensive telekinesis. That could be very important here to get someone out of harm's way of a Doom. Should chuck them back to the safety of their side of the map. So we'll see how the spell casting is going to come into play for Heaven's Rubik.
All these small little things add up, really. Like that save from the telekinesis, Granite's aura, and then the aura from Helmet Overlord. They add up.
Dire's top
one thing
tower is under attack.
One thing I really noticed through the 2-2 finals was the fact that Eastern Europe were putting a lot of importance. Hold that thought, the press kid. He's got the arcane in the arsenal collapse. Just have the BKB team out. It's gonna try and pop the Lincolns in turn. He's got the second round of the ultimate if required, but there won't be plenty of damage with the Water McKissins. The press kid is gonna be killed off, and they're gonna get immersion as well. Scatterblast just shy. Meanwhile, mid lane though, Yatoro, he's gonna get kicked off. Kushi, he cannot turn towards the Conquer. Roll from Pasha, holds his Quadra Tokyo in place. Oh my, Pari Parni, you lose the Ember, but what a trade.
Just keeping their eyes elsewhere and taking down mid now. There's a buyback completely, but do you even want to buy back? That's a TB with Silver Edge right there, knocking on your door. Cage is still in his hands for 10 more seconds.
They can definitely buy back. They have to respect his ages. He's gonna jump. No, he gets it through. He's still got the ages. He's got the second one. Okay, now you can kill him. Perfectly done. Collapse waits along with Spirit. They let the timer tick out, and they don't even need the buyback from the Phantom Assassin.
It's just such a pleasure to watch. Like you said, they don't even buy back the PA. I believe like 90% of teams would buy back the PA, perhaps wouldn't even play that fight properly, right? It's not that easy. You have 10 seconds to wait out the Doom. I've seen so many Tier 1 teams that would panic in that kind of a moment and still kill off the TB before the Aegis is expired, that is. Crazy. Like that side would be dead versus any other team.
Alright, well, they don't get much out of that Aegis advantage on Pari Parni. T3 tower, 2,000 net worth lead to the name. Pretty much they had the net worth lead at the very start, but the second time they've held the gold advantage here for the lads on Dial.
Versus the Doom that you mentioned with the Midas, with the Devour. It's that same Doom that just completed Shiva's card. So no more mana issues. Even with the refresher, he should be fine. I still think that Pari Parni are in a good spot. I think they can definitely take some good fights. Silver Edge completed on the TB, so there are more and more ways of dealing with the PA.
We didn't see the full start of the fight because we were kind of watching the engagement onto the Ember, but we hold that mid lane. They're gonna try and pull it up. Immersion. Quick from the torrents, was unable to get the chain control to stop, but it will not matter. Kushi just ripping up the Conquer, but all the rumble. They're gonna jump in now, collapse and Yatoro trying to win range, but they gotta be cautious. You gotta respect the press kid. A remnant to the backline, deals with the Ember. He's got more remnants to play with. They want to continue the fight. Over towards collapse they go, but he's got the threat of the refresher. Mira stuck in the river. Kushi's gonna try and close the distance, but they won't be able to do so successfully. Meanwhile, Immersion's in trouble as well, but it goes Scepter to reposition a buyback as well out of Toronto, Tokyo. Oro on the edge of this fight, trying to find an opening, trying to find a straggler, but not run into anyone on Dire.
I just love the fact that one little Stormcrafter saved the fight for Team Spirit. They did buy back in the end on the Conca, but the reason why they were even able to fight it was that Stormcrafter resetting. Such a nice item to have on Conca in a game such as this one. I think the Lesser Park is good enough.
Rune of invisibility.
This game is under attack.
I feel Torrent Storm is great, it's just that it hasn't been too impactful yet in this match.
Do you feel like it's mainly just the chaos that it's able to provide in a team fight?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, what else does a water park do?
Like, you can't fight anymore, you just don't know when it's gonna hit,
Radiant's
right?
bottom tower is under attack.
I really wonder if Terrorblade's going to consider a refresher shortly. He's got Skadi queued up, but I think especially with the importance now of BKB's cooldown being extended, and if TB's meta's on cooldown, That's a gigantic opening for Team Spirit. You got to take this fight for Roche. You can't let it go for free.
I think both items have their positives and negatives, right? Like Scotty is perhaps good as it tanks you up a bit against the PA and eventual Doom, probable Doom, right? Meanwhile, Refresher is just a no-brainer, one of the best items in TB to get it.
Torres going to be able to deal with the Hawk Vision. Brady have a very good ward on the high ground that's scouting out Depressed Kid for the moment. They want to use this ward. It's a perfect spot to take a fight. They still don't know what's there. No.
We're sailing now.
The thing is, Parni, they need to commit to this. They never got vision in the pit with the Hawks.
They gotta go. Up to the end of the start. It's a really early use of the Torrent Storm on Toronto Tokyo. Team Spirit, and they're going to commit for Mosh. It looks like that's going to be a collapse in the back. Oh, the man to dodge. Just the war swap. They're going to try and target down. Collapse. He doesn't get the 2 off without terribly. He tries to give it to Tokyo. The boat's going to fly along with the tank control. Terrapin's in trouble. Sun's on cooldown. They're going to blow him up. TV will try and buy back. It's all on Ember Spirit now. The damage. Depressed Kid, can he do it himself? The stolen Mortimer kisses. Ember's going to run them up on the high gun. It's Pari Parni. You get the ages on Depressed Kid as well, but you do commit the buyback on the Terrorblade. That is a big commitment there for that fight.
And you need to use it now. There is no Kunkka for 100 seconds. You have that Aegis on Ember. I believe this is the time to really strike. How do you push versus a team such as Team Spirit? They're so good at defending though. It's scary. Like if you're Parni right now, it's scary because you don't have a buyback on TB, right? You want to push, you want to punish them for not having a buyback on Kunkka, but if TB dies, you might just be done. They're in a predicament.
Such a hard call to make because you don't have meta as well. Down for 80. Well, you know that the buyback as well for the Conquer. Maybe you, I was gonna say maybe you switch with Depressed Kid with Ages and Lincoln's. He's got buyback too, but they are just. It's a lot of respect for Team Spirit.
You need the TB. I don't think you can time has passed when Beastmaster could push on his own, right? Like they just killed his summons very quickly, so he cannot do it. You need the TB for the pushes. I'm wondering. I would even argue that Team Spirit right now have the advantage. Like you're playing into an Aegis, sure.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
If you can manage to use that Doom on TB, you can win the fight. He doesn't have a buyback.
They are going to have a DD for this fight. Stay around the DD, please.
Yeah, I need him to.
You probably smoke and go to a higher gun and just take an engagement.
Yeah, you bottle the DD and you try to get the pick off. If you can do the same thing, one massive item that has been picked up by the Depressed Kid is this Hex. Now, if you can use the Hex on the Doom, follow it up with a Roar or anything, if you can kill off Collapse, that could be game.
Look at this ward on the back line. Radiant, they're going to retreat into this area. This is so much mission for Pari Parni. They're going to bounce. Depressed Kid onto the Sapphire that goes. They're going to try to start the fight, but to the northern side. Oh no, the door. He's going to try and chuck it up. He doesn't get the connection once again. Collapse. He's going to miss on the ultimate. And it's all Pari Parni for this team fight. They're going to push Team Spirit further back into their own territory. A BKB to protect him for the moment without the buyback on Collapse. How do you take this next fight?
They really need some Team Spirit magic right now. Summon the Magnus, skewer them into the fountain somehow. Nothing else will help.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen. Radiant's bottom barracks are under attack. Radiant's bottom.
You see this Ember? He's literally just meat shield here. Put up that Ember in front. He has a minute left on his Aegis. And kill the Raxes with the TB.
Good job, flashes in. Find a target down. Defense into the water park. Alternative damage coming through from the Terrorblade. Meanwhile, they're going to lose immersion as well. Your Taurus solo kills the Wind Ranger. And to their advantage. Pari Parni, they got to get out. You got to keep the numbers alive, and they will make it out with just 2 heroes. But you know TV's got no buyback.
I was just warming up for game 3. I was like, nice. First series game 3, here we go. Ember, just do your thing. TB, stay back. You have some tank, you'll heal up. Somehow they managed to follow up with all the stuns. They managed to get him before he used that Sunder. And that's all without the Doom, by the way. I was arguing that the Doom is the most important hero on their side, but seems like that's not the case when you're defending high ground. Team Spirit are way too good at that.
Can they wrap? They've got Radiant inside T4 Tower. Both sides have Glyph.
Dire's middle barracks are under
He's
attack.
not just pushing it in, so they're not going to have creep surely on Team Spirit.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
He has a Doom there, so I don't think that he can
Structures
wrap.
are fortified. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's middle barracks are under attack.
Backdoor protection's coming up shortly, and that's a hold from Pari Parni. What do they force out? There's a buyback, I believe,
Radiant's
just
middle tower
on
is under attack.
Heaven.
Yeah, just the Rubik. They're still sticking around. They just need the
It's a
creeps.
fake
Doom
back.
is, Doom is pushing, right? Look at top lane.
They
top
don't
lane.
have creeps. the creeps are gonna take way too long.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
So close to getting that X.
Okay, Doom and the bodyguard. He's escorting on the next wave. But look at mid lane. Like, what do you think? TB buys travels. TP's into
That's
their
what I was gonna
base?
say, man. I was gonna say that you got 2 routes for Pari Parni. This comes down to maybe. I'm really intrigued on who's the shot call for them. Of course, the Pasha, the position 3 man of, like you said, all the experience from him. Is he the one calling late game? Is it your young gun in the Terrorblade being the carry? Who's gonna make that call to maybe avoid the fight? Go bottom, go top. Take T4 towers and try and base race.
Pasha is definitely the most experienced,
Radiant are
but
scanning.
your carry needs to be comfortable with the play that he's making next. If he's not, it just might not work. Like that, he needs to be in the zone, right?
Dire
And,
are scanning.
They did manage to survive, and this game just keeps on surprising. The moment they lost that TB, I thought it's over. We're 2-0.
Pasha did a exceptional job to be able to cut the wave, and he's got the pressure as well. And he's also queuing up boots of travel, so we'll see how that comes into play later on. I do not see any other boots of travel being queued up from Dire, but this double wall, I mean, that is going to be, what, 8 seconds of firm BKB control, and that is more than enough time for Terrorblade to kill whoever is roared.
The only difference for the next fight is the Aeon Disc on collapse. So if he jumps, you really have to be careful to commit everything. Like, you need to commit it after the Aeon Disc, or he will manage to use that Doom. You need to control him somehow. And I'm not sure that Pari Parni, they should know about this, so...
No way. Get it? Beeline to it. Ah, yes. Don't you just love a DD? What a rune.
Just a casual one. It didn't spawn in front of Rush, just it respawned, so it's not as broken, but it's still pretty strong.
Welcome Spirit. All eyes on collapse. Hasn't been able to take these solid recent fights.
They know.
The Doom could turn this game around.
The problem for Team Spirits right now is bottom lane is being pushed in. So whatever they do, they need to do it quickly.
No, they have a DD as well.
Did you see the move with the TB? He moved in with the Lincolns on him. He has double Lincolns, right? Someone else casts his own,
Dire's
he has
middle
his own.
barracks are under attack.
He wanted, I believe, just to break the smoke or the blur.
What can I say? Nature loves
I
me.
didn't even catch collapse off guard, expecting that Lincoln's in has been popped. You can drop the Doom, but all of a sudden he's got second Lincolns, and there's that first Doom wasting, and all of a sudden chaos is brewed. You don't know what to happen. You're just gonna try and chuck out the second Doom before you die. And again, we've been putting a lot of emphasis on collapse. He has to get some good ultimates off in these fights for Team Spirit.
I was wrong. This was just before Rush.
You were wrong. There we go. Ages on Terrorblade. They get every component. Team Spirit, though, still considering to take the fire, but your Toro is not able to find an opening.
You keep the axe to TB, right?
Yeah, he's gonna eat that.
Yeah, Terrorblade is just... Yeah, it's pretty good this game, right? Like, if you can get it... I actually like the axe on TB quite a bit, but only if you can get it from Rush. Like, there are just so many items that you want to buy on TB. There are some specific circumstances in which axe is really good. But they aren't plenty.
We have, what have we got? Ages on Moonkushi. We've got the Refresher Shard on Depressed Kid. She's given over to the Rubik, and like we said, also Moonkushi is able to eat the Aghanim Blessing, so has the Terror Wave now to play with. But I think the big thing is the buybacks are coming up.
Don't you think that Refresher Shard would also be maybe better on a TB?
Yes.
TB for the meta for everyone.
Depressed Kid, hang on a second. Playing with fire is Depressed Kid. But Collapse, he's stuck in a tree line. Force protected with Aeon and the beacon. Protecting for the moment. They haven't found the perfect jump to start the fight. Pari Parni, so they're going to retreat back to the high ground.
Now that was a
most of the spells got Lotus Sword, Lincolns as well used, so that roar wasn't even there. He roared, but then instantly refreshed. They couldn't really do anything with it.
Dire are scanning.
And this team defended high ground against all odds just so many times in this game. How do you...
How do you go up now?
Like, yeah, how do you have confidence to do anything about it? You know, to even go high ground?
Down a game as well, so you have to execute this fight perfectly. Maybe you've got a couple lines, of course, Ages, but also buyback. But the issue is if Moonkushi buys back and doesn't have meta, then maybe his impact won't be as high as we might see with that big ability. But which position would you rather be in a game like this? I mean, 8,000 net worth leaders in nothing 54 minutes in.
If I didn't see who I'm playing against, probably Parni's position is better. Like, I'd like to do their shoes. But when you see that you're playing against Team Spirit, yeah, like, you don't want to be as anything against them pushing this high ground. It's just hard.
I see Team Spirit coming up the base. Motion's gonna run to Toronto Tokyo, but once again the Lotus Sword protecting them against the roar. Kushi's in though. Now Raven's pop trying to bring down the wall. Green Raven's trying to get to the safety of the high ground. Toronto Tokyo is threatening it, going in, but they get the goon. Over onto Depressed Kid, the end is gone. He's gonna buy back and potentially be able to rejoin if required, but Pari Parni, they gotta get out. The retreat. The horns have been signaled and they're fine.
Like, I'm just scratching my head. How the hell are you this good? You're baiting a fight on one side. I believe the point was to bait the meta.
Collapse.
They will go on. For sure now.
Also in the river, they're on Heaven. A Ghost Sifter's gonna try and protect him. Not forcing the higher ground, and Heaven's okay. They don't see your Toro for the moment. Heaven's running into Pasha and Kushi. Charging to the river, but you see the lack of control. Your Toro is just hiding for the Terrorblade at the moment. And they're actually threatening about going back in as your Toro rips apart the Rubik. Back to the higher ground. They go, the win range is gone, and back on immersion. Oh, they are crumbling on Dire.
And every single kill that Phantom gets, remember she has that Aghanim completely consumed, so everything refreshed, goes for the next. This high ground, impenetrable, I suppose. The way they fought at the beginning, going on TV, baiting some stuff there, and then sidelining for the Ember. Just way too well played.
Again, you've got to be considering about this rat opportunity. You got no meta now for Moonkushi, even though he has the Ages of buyback as well.
There's no travels. The Tron is about to get hit.
People towers under siege. But pistol it out. At least the Ember won't have to force his buyback.
Yeah, Pasha is on the side.
for ages now.
I'm really surprised that none of them is buying travels. Like, when I say none of them, I mean Beast or the TB, as they're the important ones. It's an option, right? It kind of it gives you an opportunity to perhaps rat.
Maybe you can't just because you force your own glyph and you know Radiant have glyph now. So you probably have to pop Radiant's glyph somehow with a Beastmaster doing it with summons, but you already see it. Like Maposhka is well aware of this being a potential play.
And this game is going crazy. EA almost level 30, so has Boots of Travel to Aghanin's blessing completed shard, every single item that she needs. But we will get some good old tier 5 items in 3 minutes. Well, some hype.
Is there any, while we have quick break in the action, is there any items that you feel like could break this game open?
Is there anything super game changing?
Radiant are scanning.
Any sort of Lincoln's, like, what's it called? I'm just not I'm not seeing these items way too often, so yeah, the mirror shield would be solid. It's still in the game, right?
Yes, I think it is. You really don't see them enough.
My games are 40-50 minutes max, always. Like, Dezo 2 would be obviously nice for the PA.
Smoke up on Spirit. Dying, not back inside their base. Mukushi! He's gonna jump in the middle! Want to take the engagement, but collapse! He's ready for the fight! Doom is out of the temple! How much damage can he really do? Without the meta now for the buyback, he's not gonna have enough damage to hold this, I don't think.
Now that was a fail.
Going in. That was just the end, right? Yeah.
Conker. He's always got the threat of being able to pop the element disc as well. Toronto, Tokyo. Ready to assemble. 5. It's gonna be a crazy hold from Pari Parni. Toronto, Tokyo's falling pretty low to start, but the T4 towers, the throne exposed. Ember's going in. Preskid's gonna try and run into Toronto, Tokyo. They're gonna be cautious about the turn. Dodges the wall, stomp of the cheese, and the healer's gonna be enough to keep Toronto, Tokyo alive, so the Conker's okay. All eyes on the Kushi. They need it terribly to put a siege down the targets. He's in the middle of the fight, but he hasn't locked onto anyone. And BKB from North Field to the Emperor. They're busy playing, controlling the Preskid. He's able to reposition. Almost close to the throne, but Makushi's going along. Phantom Assassin. He's on top of the turn, playing no buyback, and that's it. Without the TV for the damage, this is gonna be a crazy hold from Pari Parni. I don't think they're able to do it. His team Spirit
Radiant's middle
finally.
attack.
The Preskid is gonna be a miracle for them to hold this one, but it will not be the case. This team Spirit 60 minutes in. They get more. Soon to be a wipe to close out this second game and end the series.
Wait, go grab some tier 5 items. I need to see them.
Oh my, what a game 2! Pari Parni, so unfortunate. They had the opportunity to be able to siege the high ground multiple times. We saw the attempt for them, but Team Spirit, the experience, the cohesiveness from the